If you're making a game and you want to make reviewers' lives a lot easier, you got to do two things. First, you have to make the game completely amazing, and then put wonder in the title. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the wonder to you. Today we're talking about Super Mario Wonder, a wonderful new 2D Mario game for the Nintendo Switch that's so good we can't wait to tell you all about it. So grab a hallucinogenic flower and let's get into it. I'm Kirk Hamilton.
I'm Maddy Myers.
And I'm Jason Schreier. Hello.
Hey.
Hello. It's us.
Hello.
Once again.
It's so wonderful to see
We are
you.
back. The band is back together.
That's
Have you guys listened to the new Blink-182 album? Speaking
Not
of
yet.
bands getting
I
back
know
together.
I haven't.
keep
You've been on me to
re-upping
listen to it.
It's so good. So many
I bet
bangers.
it is. I bet it is.
I mean,
I have
I'm
no
a
doubt.
bigger pop punk fan than you two, but like,
I'm down for some Blink-182 now and again, though.
well,
Yeah,
so
they're a
this
good band.
this is the first album with Tom DeLonge, who left the band for a while in like a decade, and that was like they announced last year Tom DeLonge is coming back. It was like the biggest news for millennials since they shut
Wow.
down AOL Instant Messenger.
It's just like Axe coming back to Billions. Exactly the same.
Similar,
Bob the
except that
Axelrod.
more nostalgia. More
No,
nostalgia.
but
in
I'm
this,
talking about something important to me, but yeah.
That's true.
Tom DeLonge has some pretty cool guitar parts. My guitar
He
teacher
does.
was showing me some of their parts, and they, Blink-182 kind of
Yeah, they
gets a
kinda
bad
get a
rap
bad
among
rap.
musicians.
Unfairly
but
so.
He writes some pretty cool stuff. Like, there's a lot of, it's pretty simple, a lot of power chord stuff, but he moves some of those harmonies around and does these, like, low voice things that are actually pretty cool in some of their songs. So respect
Yeah.
to Blink-182.
And writing a catchy pop song is so difficult to do that I feel like no one should ever judge it. Like if a song's ever gotten cut in your head, you gotta just pay a compliment because it's
yeah,
incredible.
they're a good band.
He's a master at like these very simple riffs that are just
Yep.
really catchy and
Yeah.
fun to listen to.
That's what I'm saying. And kind of like more interesting than you would think,
Than you
just
think.
hearing
Yeah.
it. Like learning them on guitar, it's like, oh, this is cool. He's kind of a technician in his way of the instrument.
Well, there's this song. There's this one song called Turpentine that is friggin' fantastic. You guys should listen to it.
Great.
It's a good name for a song.
We're a music podcast now. Welcome to Strong Songs.
Yeah, so if you want to support our digressions about pop punk bands and guitar technique, well, you can become a member of Maximum Fun. And you'll support our show if you do that as well. You'll support the Maximum Fun Network, which is always a cool thing to do. We love the Maximum Fun Network. They
And it's a
are
co-op now.
Worker-owned
It's
co-op
worker-owned.
network that have a ton of different shows. All the shows are owned by the creators, and it's really just a kind of fantastic model and a good vision for a better future. So Maximum Fun rules, and you can become a member at maximumfun.org/join. And of course, that also is the only way that any of us make money off of this show. So you are directly supporting the creation of Triple Click. And if you become a member, you will get access to monthly bonus episodes, beans casts, as we usually call them, at least when there's spoilers and we're spilling the beans, but all kinds of different things. We recently did a really fun episode about The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. We've been watching some movies. We talked about AI recently, talked about a bunch of games. And this month, we're going to be talking about the hunt for Best October,
Are we
which is going to
saying
remain a
what this
mystery,
is?
I
Okay,
think,
yeah, okay.
to anyone who is not a member. If you want to know what it is, you're just going to have to listen. It's going to be out,
It's
I
gonna
think,
be good.
early next week. It is going to be
We
good.
haven't recorded it yet, but it's going to be really good.
We can guarantee
excited.
it's going to be good.
We are.
We're very excited.
The Hunt for Best October coming up. So that's MaximumFun.org/join. Become a member. Support independent media. Support Triple Click. We love you all. And we appreciate your support. All right. We're talking about a video game today that I'm very excited to talk about. Jason, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, well, it's actually fitting that I started this show by talking about music, because today we're talking about a music game called Super Mario Wonder.
A hot new rhythm game.
Hot new
Kinda,
rhythm game.
kinda.
I mean, it is a rhythm game, essentially. I mean, Super Mario Wonder is, of course, the newest Mario game from Nintendo. It's a 2D Mario game, the first one of those in a long time. Really, more than a decade. And the last one, I believe, was New Super Mario Brothers U on the Wii U. I believe that was
Wow.
2012. And yeah, there was Nintendo. Just a little bit of history here. Of course, Super Mario started as a 2D platforming series. There's some really, really good ones. 3 of them on the NES, and then Super Mario World on the SNES was really just the culmination of all that and all the cool ideas for 2D Mario. But in recent years, they've been going with the new Super Mario Brothers series, which is a little bit controversial. I mean, I think they're still good platformers, but they're kind of generic. The visuals aren't everybody's favorites. Some issues there. But now we're coming back with a vengeance. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, new 2D Mario game, feels different than anything they've done before, looks different than anything they've done before. Still got that Mario feel, but has a bit of a brighter, more cartoony, more heavily animated aesthetic. And we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about this game. We've all been playing it. We've all been playing it on codes from Nintendo. I think we all spent the whole weekend playing it. But yeah, let's go around. Let's start off just by talking about some initial impressions. Maddy, you want to go first? How much have you played, and what are your quick initial thoughts?
My quick initial thoughts are it's amazing. I love it. It's so cute. It fills me with warm, fuzzy feelings. I don't think I've played as much as you two. Had a busy weekend, which is a real tragedy because this game is so joyful and just makes you feel amazing every time you play it. There's just nothing like the movement patterns of a Mario game. But the actual part of the game that struck me most is just the little bespoke animations for each character and the facial expressions and how much detail there is. I mean, all of us obviously grew up playing 2D Mario. I remember thinking how cute Mario was when he would crouch down or whatever and go into a pipe and make himself small or big. Like those things were so exciting. But now having so much more detail in the visuals for little Princess Peach, and there's the elephant power-up that we're going to get to, and she's so freaking adorable as a little elephant, and her little walk animation is so cute. You just, I don't know, it just really adds something to the game. It's not even, I know we're going to talk about all the other, like, you know, gameplay aspects here, but this game looks
animations and presentation are a huge part of it.
Good. It just looks so good, and I think that's something that really helps you want to stick with the game. It starts out pretty easy, but I know it gets difficult at the end because it's a 2D Mario. It's going to start getting harder, and you want to actually spend more time like playing and replaying these levels over and over again. And the way to do that is to have it look freaking amazing. So those are my first impressions of Mario Wonder. Is wonderment.
Kirk, what about you?
So yeah, I'm up to, I think, World 5. I can't remember which world I am. I think it's World 4 or 5. So it's somewhere around halfway through the game, maybe a little past the halfway point. Yeah, I'm in love with this game. It's like someone walks up to you with a magic hat and they're smiling and they just sit you down and they just start pulling incredible things out of their hat. And then 30 minutes later, they just keep pulling more and more amazing things out of their hat. And it never ends. And you're like, how much stuff can be in the hat? And they just keep going and going and going. That's sort of what it feels like to play this game. It's just this incredibly joyful, incredibly creative, endlessly interesting experience where no 5-minute chunk of playing the game is the same as the last 5 minutes that you had. So you can just play for 45 minutes, which is kind of how I've been playing it. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have a bunch of really amazing experiences. I laugh so much at this game. There are so many sequences, especially the Wonder Flower, I should say, sequences where I'm just cracking up because something so outlandish and creative and funny is happening. And I love this game. Everything about it is so joyful. I've primarily been playing as Mario. You can play, of course, as the whole cast of Mario
I'm playing as Peach.
Characters. Yes. And they all have their own different animations and look slightly different as they move through the game. But I've been playing as Mario, and what I notice about it is he's always laughing. There are so many new lines, I believe, by the new Mario voice actor. And even when he dies, he'll be like, oh, no. And he kind of laughs. Like when he dies, he's like falling to his death and he's laughing, which I think gives a good sense of just how ebullient and joyful this game is. So yeah, I'm over the moon about it. I love it so much.
It's funny you say that because like I feel like when someone is falling to their death and laughing, they're usually a James Bond villain.
They're like, there's still a bomb that you have to disarm.
Yeah, you'll never escape, Mr. Bond.
It's the laugh of the immortal being that is Mario.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Mario knows he'll be back.
And death is comedy to him.
Yeah, okay. So I'm on, I think, world 3. It's hard to, this isn't really a linear game because there's like a big kind of hub world and then there's spokes on it. And I guess I'm up to the 3rd spoke. So a little bit, not quite as far as you, Kirk, but I feel the same way as you. It's a pure joy to play. I think that the Wonder Seeds to kind of explain, or the Wonder Flowers to kind of explain a little bit about what you were talking about. So every platforming level has kind of its own traditional platforming, and then there's some gimmicks involved. Like in one level, for example, when you jump, a bunch of creatures jump with you, and you have to kind of figure out how to navigate that. So maybe you jump and then you duck under them as they're jumping in the air, or maybe you manipulate their jumps to break blocks above them, and so on and so forth. And then there's the twist of the Wonder Flower, and when you get the Wonder Flower, which is this kind of like trippy looking flower object that you can find hidden in a bunch of the levels, when you get that, the music goes crazy and everything gets trippy and the world transforms in some way, usually related to the gimmick that's involved there. And so I absolutely lost it in the 2nd level of this game. So about 10 minutes into the game, you are playing on the 2nd level. It's called Piranha Plants on Parade. And just to give you, everybody out there who hasn't played this yet, an example of what the Wonder Flowers do, when you get to this level, it's just kind of like basic jumping piranha plants everywhere kind of platformer level. You've seen them before in previous Mario games. Then you get to the Wonder Flower and you jump on it, and then it just kind of explodes into song, and the piranha plants start singing. And then you notice the trees in the background are singing too, and it becomes this whole musical section. And I just lost it. I was just cracking up at my Switch for a solid 5 minutes at this.
Yeah, that was incredible.
At this portion
really
of the game, I was just like, wow, this is gonna be delightful. And so those are really excellent. And I mean, I just really love it, and it's surprisingly challenging, not just as it gets further into the game. In fact, I would argue that it doesn't really get challenging based on further how far you go, but kind of off to the sides you'll find these like super tough challenge levels. There's an entire special world that has its own big challenges that are really, really tough to do. And then also being a completionist and collecting all the coins in each game, you have these big purple coins that you can collect each level, or most of the levels have 3 of them. That's a whole challenge. And then these little optional kind of badge challenges. There's a whole badge system in this game that we'll get to in a little bit. But I just love it as a package, as a 2D Mario game. And I think I've been thinking a lot about how it kind of works in conversation with 3D Mario games, with Super Mario Odyssey specifically, because they're so different, despite just being both Mario games. One of them feels like more of an adventure, and the other one feels like more of a rhythm game. Kirk, you've played the furthest. What has been kind of your thought of the moment-to-moment gameplay of this game, and kind of whether how it compares to 3D Mario's or how it compares to your own 2D platforming experience? What's your take?
I think that the 2D Mario games feel more like a laboratory of design ideas to me, because there's a little bit less in between me as a player and whatever idea is being explored in the level. Where in a 3D Mario, there's this big world to move through, especially in Odyssey, the most recent one, where there's a lot of just space to move through and kind of messing around to do. And then you'll find a little challenge with a discrete idea, but there's just a little bit more, it's a little more diffuse. Where in these games, you start the level, boom, here's the idea, you know? Like you said, you jump, the enemies jump. Okay, that's the idea for this level. And then because of the Wonder Flowers, they always remix the idea into a whole new idea that's at times so outlandish. I mean, they play with scale. Like, it really goes beyond just, oh, here's a funny twist. And like, here's a full wild set piece with huge things crashing through the level and the laws of physics being rewritten in hilarious ways, all based around this like 100x version of the core idea. So you're always engaged with those ideas, and each level kind of feels that way. So I just feel like I'm in a really direct loop with the game and its constant ideas. And if you go back to the idea of this guy pulling stuff out of a hat, it's like just me and him. Like, he's like right in my face, making direct eye contact. Like, there's no getting away from it. Which I guess that sounds kind of like that would be stressful, but this is not. This is wonderful.
No, it's good.
I'm actually, I've always liked the 3D games better. I think, or found myself drawn to them more just because I like that more relaxed, diffuse experience. And I've never found a 2D game that I've liked as much as this one. This is the most fun I've ever had with 2D Mario.
Wow.
I'm not great at 2D Mario. I didn't grow up playing these games, so I find that the float and the bounce of Mario's movement eludes me somewhat. And there's also a fairly complex moveset at this point, both in the 3D and in the 2D games, where like wall jumping and ducking and kind of these different maneuvers that experienced players can pull off, they kind of elude me. Jason, I'll never forget watching you play Super Mario World and realizing what someone who's extremely well versed in that game can do compared to the way I play it, which is like jump, jump. It's a little like watching me play StarCraft 2 and watching myself just move the mouse slowly around on the screen and realize that we're playing very different games. So anyways, I really am finding this game. It's letting me in a way I think that 2D Mario hasn't in the past. That's for a variety of reasons. The difficulty modifiers that you can add, we can talk about that maybe in detail in a minute. And the fact that there's no timer, which is something I've talked about before, but that has always kind of stressed me out a little bit in the older 2D games. And something I really like about the 3D games is you can just walk around and, you know, see the sights and do what you want. And there's no timer in this game as well, except in some sections when they want to put a time crunch on you. But you can just walk around the level and experiment. And I really like that too.
Yeah. It actually kind of reminds me of what I like about Kirby games. I realized that as you were talking, Kirk, that some of the
it
best
feels
of
like a
this
Kirby game at times.
Reminds me
It felt
of
like Planet Robobot.
Yeah, and some of the other Kirby games that I won't make you guys play, but Planet Robobot I did make you play that one time I won a bet. 2 years ago, something like that. And part of that is because of the badge system, which we haven't really gotten into yet, but I guess I may as well here. So
explain it.
At the outset of each level, you can select a badge. You're earning badges throughout. And by the point I'm at, I guess I'm in World 2. I don't know. I'm at the mountain. I have several badges. And so there's some stiff competition. I think there's 24 in total, a couple dozen in total, and I have like 10 or so that I can choose between. And some of them, they affect the whole level. You can change out your badge if you die or if you quit the level. But it's kind of like choosing your Kirby power up for the whole level. Like in certain levels of Kirby, it prioritizes a specific power, and this game is similar. Like in some levels of Kirby, you really want to have the fire sword. It's going to be useful to have that, or it's going to be useful to have like rock powers. This is the same way. Like there's certain levels where having this badge where you have a big floaty hat that you're like holding over your head, and it's kind of like a parachute, and you can float around. Or other levels where there's a badge that really makes your wall jump clingier and makes it easier to do the kind of skidding off of a wall and jumping up on top of something. It makes it much easier to do, and there are several other movement ones that alter your jump slightly that I'm sure are beneficial to other levels too. But much like Kirk, I guess I'm probably between Kirk and Jason here. I'm not like a Mario supernova. I'm okay at a 2D Mario, and I'm sure that was just years and years of only having 2D Mario games in elementary school and just trying to get good at them. So I'm okay at them, but I do appreciate some of these badges, and sometimes I'll be playing a level, I'll be like, oh no, I know the badge I need for this one. Let me restart this with a different badge, and then I'm slaying. But some of the badges are just pure fun. Like the one that adds different question mark blocks or exclamation mark blocks, where it's just like, all right, let me just see what you want to throw at me. It's just a bunch of different stuff you can get in the level, and it's just for fun. I mean, I don't know what else that would be for. And that's delightful to have a gimmick in a game that's like, and this is just going to make the level fun in a different way. That owns.
Yeah, there's one that turns you into a spring, and you just bounce, and you can't control where you're bouncing or when you're bouncing. You just move and you bounce, and it seems like a fun little challenge modifier. And then, I mean, the badges
You can lead to sort of player-directed challenges.
Of course, yeah.
One of the things that's brilliant about the badge system is that there are all these different levels throughout the game that are these badge challenges that require you to use that badge, and then you have to do a level that is designed around that badge. My favorites so far have been like the wall climbing one, where you have to do these really cool maneuvers. There's one that's like super, super tough in the special area that is really, really fun. And yeah, I mean, just like a whole bunch of like really fun, interesting challenges. I think, Kirk, your point about it being a grab bag is a salient one, because it does feel like they're just pulling constant crazy ideas out at you and just throwing them and saying, enjoy. Like we had a blast making this game, so you're going to have a blast playing it. I think that the difference between 2D and 3D Mario games for me is kind of related to the timer, in that I think 3D Mario games feel more like, hey, you're going on this adventure, you're off in this world, we want you to explore and find all these nooks and crannies and secrets. And Odyssey was the purest expression of that with the moons, where there were like 900 something moons, and it was just very delightful to figure out how they were hidden, where they were hidden, just kind of take advantage of all of this world's kind of like secrets and figure out what you can find in all these different stages. Whereas Mario Wonder and 2D Mario games in general feel a little bit more like you're playing a song, and here's this 2-minute song. You are going to make your way through this thing. There's a rhythm to it. You jump and you dash and you hit the button to the beat. And sometimes it's literally a song when like the blocks are disappearing in tune to the music, or appearing in tune to the music. But in general, it just feels more like you're playing this elaborate musical instrument and just kind of getting lost in the joy of it all. Kirk once wrote for Kotaku an article about how games are just like are essentially music. Playing a game is essentially playing music, and there's nothing that's more of a pure distillation of that than a game like Super Mario Wonder.
And 2D Mario generally.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where when you do the ground pound in this game, it plays a drum roll followed by a simple crash when Mario's butt hits the ground, and the drum roll goes on longer the farther he falls, and it's delightful every single time that it happens.
It's so
man,
good.
it changes. Like the music is a little bit different, I believe, if you're Elephant Mario, or like if you're
trombone starts playing.
Totally wild. By the way, if you guys, Maddy, to your point about the animations and the aesthetics earlier, one of my favorite animations in the game so far, and this is a game with just the most incredible animations you will ever see. One of my favorites is if you're crouching as an elephant in Mario, Mario,
so
and then you
good.
swing and you swing your trunk. He's just like boop boop boop. It's just this
The crawling
fantastic
crawling
elephant
is so
animation where his little
cute.
mustache sticks out and his hat covers his
man.
eyes and his butt is up in the air is so cute.
It's so
when
good.
you there are
so
levels
good.
where you go through doors, you know, the sort of doors in the back of the level that then you'll come out another door, and when you go through as elephant, he gets stuck and has to like wiggle his butt through.
so
And there are all these little unique
Peach
animations
always has
like
to
that.
wiggle
really good.
through the pipe, and you get to see her little elephant bloomers wiggling, and it's just the most adorable thing I've ever seen. I love how when she's crouching, she looks almost like frustrated, or like she's concentrating really hard in elephant form. I mean, I think she does a version of that in human form too. She's so expressive. I mean, Princess Peach is such a hilarious slapstick character to me, like the frying pan of Super Smash Brothers, like her energy. I love it. And I feel like they've really just embodied that in her facial expressions here, where she's just like has the biggest eyes of surprise and then the like little tiny scrunch. I mean, I would have loved this as a kid. Like that's the other thing about it, is that I'm like, I brought so much animation to Mario games as a kid that wasn't present, but like now as a kid, I would just be like, oh my God, like it's all here. I feel like these are real characters that are like on a TV show or something for me, you know?
Yeah, I played
Yeah.
it with my 4-year-old a little bit. I think she's still a little too young
I think
because
it
she's
might
not
be a little
quite
hard for
figuring
4.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
she
it's
doesn't
so
really know how to
cute,
use the
though.
controller, but yes, it's adorable. Yeah, it's definitely a kid friendly game. One more thing on the music metaphor, I think that like the typical platforming structure is like the Nintendo kind of ethos is here's a concept, we're going to introduce it to you in a friendly way, and then we're going to make it more elaborate over time. And it really feels like you're starting with a verse, and then you get to the chorus, and then a verse, and then the chorus, and then you have the Wonder Flower, which is kind of like the bridge and the key changes, and you got a whole different thing going on for a short amount of time, and then you go back to the maybe another chorus to figure it out, to finalize it all. And none of the stages ever wear out their welcome. None of the stages are longer to finish than like 5 minutes max.
Yeah.
Like any good song, and I guess there's some good long songs. Any good punk rock.
Yeah, there's
song.
no Enagata Davida here. Though.
Yeah,
it's
true.
all pretty. It's just more pop punk, really. Yeah.
Any good Blink 182 song, we can just
Exactly.
say it. We can just say
It's a
it.
Blink 182 album. Yes, I mean these two coming out at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of good variety to the levels as well, I find. Like there are just most, a lot of straightforward platforming levels where you go to the end and then you jump up the flagpole and you beat the level. But there are a lot of other cool types of levels as well. There are battle levels that are really fun where you have to clear rooms of enemies. The first one that I did, I think it's the first one that you come across, was called Fluff Puff Kerfuff. And I think that speaks to the
Classic
names
Mario
of the levels in
isms.
general,
Just all
which are
around.
great. And I love Kerfuff as a shortening for Kerfuff.
Well, yeah,
Like,
of course.
what's the Kerfuff in here? So the Fluff Puff
incredible.
Kerfuff, where you have to fight a bunch of enemies.
Props to the Nintendo Treehouse, as always.
Perfect.
Yes, they're so good at their jobs. Over a series of rooms, you have to clear the rooms out. There's a cool new ability. There are a couple of abilities that I think are new in this game. I'm no Mario expert, but I'll say them and you can tell me if they are not new. Bubble Mario, is that new?
Yeah,
So Bubble
that one's
Mario
fun.
is like Fireball Mario, but he throws bubbles that kill enemies, but also, if you're skilled, you throw them out and then you can get one jump off of them.
Yes,
So you can use them to reach inaccessible places, which is very cool.
It's
You can
really
get more than
hard.
one jump. You can
Yeah,
shoot a
you can
bunch
keep
and then
shooting,
get several.
shooting
Oh, well,
them
yes,
and
I mean,
jump
one-
and jump and jump. Yep.
One jump per bubble, but yes, you can shoot
Right.
multiple
If
per
you're
bubbles.
Kirk, you can only do one jump, but
Right. Well, I'm not very good at Mario, as I've said.
How many times have you died in this game, Kirk?
Oh, like
only seven.
7,000, so many times.
Got it.
Well, I
Go
tried
on.
to. So it depends on the level, right? So you get a
Dying
star
doesn't
rating.
matter in Mario. It's fine. Yeah.
You get a difficulty star rating for each level, one or two, generally pretty
Or three.
doable.
It goes to three.
Oh no, I mean 1 or 2 stars
Oh, you mean
means
your
it's pretty
grade.
doable. Yes. 3 is going to be a little more challenging. That's more like boss levels. Then 4 is quite difficult. And I've done a few 4s where I'm like, okay, now I'm getting into the Hollow Knight part of my brain and I have to really learn how to play this game. I have found that by doing those, I have improved significantly and am able to access that part of my brain that got good at other platformers and have figured out those specific rhythms. So maybe I'll get there. The one that the level that you referenced, Jason, where the blocks build according to the beat, this level, I have not beaten
There are a
it.
few
It
of
is-
those, to be clear.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
the first one of those, it's in the first world. My God. So there are 4 active at any time. Like there are 4 platforms active. So you have to keep moving with the rhythm.
Yep.
And you can't fall behind and you can't get too far ahead. And the tempo increases as you move through the level as the platforms shrink. So, oh my gosh, it really is exacting and difficult.
I don't want to alarm you, but that's not the tough one.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm not
That
surprised.
is
It's the first one
very
that I
first
did.
one you've come across.
So the really tough one is
And
in,
they actually get easier. It's really anti-Mario. They get easier as it goes. It's so weird. Like by the end, it's just one block.
So you can access this special world, which is kind of like this super challenging, like we're gonna throw the gauntlet at you world. And in the special world, there's one of those that takes the same concept and is super super tough. So
It's like
enjoy
Guitar
that.
Hero, like level bajillion or whatever the heck people do. then.
Yeah, I appreciate
pretty
how
good.
they let, like, the pacing of the game is kind of dictated by me. So it's not
Yes.
exactly, it's that video game pacing thing where, like, I'm in control of it, but they are putting things in front of me in such an order that, like, I'm always able to pick something different. They even have levels called break time, and it'll be, there are some levels where you just have to find all of the hidden, these, what are
Coins
they
or
called?
whatever? Yeah,
they're like wonder
turnip-looking
coins or
things.
something.
The wonder
They're
seeds.
special
Wonder
coins.
seeds, right?
No, not the
no,
seeds.
they're
Coins
called
that
something
lead
else.
to a seed.
Yeah. A coin leads to a seed. We all know this.
Yes, obvious, clear
Mario
logic. So you
logic.
have to get them
Yeah.
all. But when you walk into the room, there is nothing sometimes visible at all.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have to start jumping and figure out where the hidden blocks are. And those are just, there's no way to die, really. There's no
you just have to
enemies.
keep looking. And if hypothetically it's too hard and you leave the level, you'll get a helpful little tooltip that's like, try playing it with a friend, which is so
Mm-hmm.
adorable. It's like the classic Mario style of like, you didn't fail at this. You just need to try playing the game in a different way and like keep having fun in a different way. It's endlessly cute to me.
Yeah, I should mention the multiplayer as well, which I haven't
Yes,
messed around too
me
much
either,
with, but is
but-
really incredible. It allows you to play simultaneous with a bunch of other players.
Uh-huh.
You can see how the players who are playing at the same time as you are solving the puzzles and challenges that you're up against. So you can see maybe someone jumping to a hidden area of the level that you didn't know was there. Also, you can leave those little standees that you collect, which are these cardboard figures. You can leave those around levels for other people to find, much like, say, Dark
Like
Souls.
Dark
To be
Souls.
clear, you're talking about the online multiplayer, not
Yes.
the
I'm sorry, yes, the
There's
online
also
multiplayer.
local co-op though. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the online multiplayer. So you can leave these standees laying around, and those can work just like in a Dark Souls game where you'll see that someone has written a note on some area that you thought was inaccessible, and that just tells you, oh, so I can get there. And that's really all you need to know sometimes in this game to start trying, your gears start turning as you think, okay, well, they put their standee up there, so how the hell did they get up there? And that alone is a really, really cool avenue for multiplayer to explore in this game. That's something I've barely done, but is another whole element of this game and another kind of variable area of difficulty, attenuation, I guess, that you can do for yourself. And I really appreciate that about this game. You can make it as hard or as easy. I wouldn't say easy, but as you can really reduce the challenge. A couple other badges I should mention, like there's one that just spits you out of pits. Like if you fall into a pit, it just knocks you back out and you don't die.
Yeah, I think one time, right? Only once.
Yeah, it's like a free save if you're playing a hard level. Or the one that I use a lot gives me just like an extra high jump with a little float, kind of like Peach had in Doki Doki Panic, like that kind of, you can kind of hang in the air for a minute, which is just helpful almost all the time. And like I said, I'm not that great at Mario games, so I really like that one. So anyways, a lot of variability and customizability in this game, which I think is really, really awesome.
Yeah, the badges are really interesting and make me want to replay some levels just to like experiment with
fun.
different badges and see how that changes things, which is a cool, just another cool element to this game.
Yeah.
Also, you can play as Yoshi, or there's like another
Nabbit.
Yoshi type.
Nabbit.
And if you're playing local multiplayer, the other players can ride on you. And Yoshi, I believe, like can't take damage, right? Or I think can't die. So you could team up with, say, like a child or like a friend or someone, and like you could be the one to take on the platforming challenges, and they could just ride on your back while you jump through the hard parts. So there's also like that element to it as well. It's a very modular game. Like it's very flexible in a lot of cool ways that sort of entice your creativity with how you want to play it.
Yeah, and it's something, so it's interesting because, so like the way that it works for people who haven't played it yet is it's not a super linear progression where you have to go from level 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 the way that the old school Mario games used to work up until 3, I believe. It's more of like a non-linear world map type thing where you're walking on this big kind of 3D world map, and you can go in any direction, and then you can pick levels from there. Right. And because some of them, like you might get to a new little hub, and there are like four new levels that you can explore, and some of them are going to be easier than others. And the only gates are kind of like a Wonder Seed requirement that is pretty low. Like you might only need 4 Wonder Seeds to get to the next area, and then 8 after that, or something like that. So you can get Wonder Seeds from only the easy levels if you want, and not even bother with the really hard ones. So it is really, I mean, an approachable game, I think, for players even like Kirk Hamilton, who might be able to beat Returnal with only dying 7 times, but 2D platformers, they just cannot compete.
It's a very different instrument, you know. I can play guitar, but I can't play the oboe.
It's true.
We have so few opportunities to drag Kirk for being bad at anything, you know.
It's true.
Just let us have this. You know, it's funny. This is another thing where I'm like, is that different? But it doesn't feel that way to me because Kirby games have been doing this exact format for years and years and years of like this semi-open world map where you can choose anything and kind of play stages in different orders if you so choose. Robobot wasn't that way, but I can't remember the name of the most recent Kirby game. They all have functionally the same name. They're all like Kirby and the Sparkly Teapot. It's like who knows? But they've been doing
Mario
things
games
like that.
have been having world maps since before Kirby
it's
existed.
a Nintendoism, right? It's amazing. I love it.
The world map is very similar to 3D World, the Wii U 3D World.
Yeah, and like having the chance to choose not only difficulty, but like which power up makes the game easier for you is like another layer of modularity that Kirby kind of does and that this game does that I think is really great. Like Kirby games also have often the opportunity of like go into this one room and choose between these power ups, and then you'll go into this level already having one. And whenever Mario games do that, I'm like, yes, finally, this is all I want. I just want firepower or whatever it is for this one level that I don't normally have that in, but it's just going to make it easier for me personally. That's how I would like to beat this
the battle
level.
arenas do that. The battle arenas are
and it's great.
specifically
It's
like
great.
they give you options. You can be elephant, you can be fire, Mario, whatever.
Or you can be like, I want 2 fires. Like when I lose my fire, I want a backup fire, or 2 elephants, or one or the other, which is great.
Yeah, it does. This game is very much like, it's very referential to old Mario games. I mean, even that having kind of like a backup storage of that, that's like all the way back to Super Mario World was the game that originated that concept of like, I'm going to press a button and then get access to the
My back
backup
pocket
power up
mushroom.
And there's a lot of musical motifs that are references to old Mario games, which is super fun to listen to. Kirk, I imagine you would have a blast doing a strong songs in this, and like going back to previous Koji Kondo works. Koji Kondo, of course, I mean, he's the original composer of Mario and Zelda, and is back once again for this game. Has been at it for 30 plus years. There are a lot. It's worth noting. I mean, one of the reasons that this game is so delightful and masterfully made is that it's made by some of the same people who have been in Nintendo for 30 years and worked on the original Mario Brothers. I was going through the Moby Games credits list for Mario Wonder and just like was randomly clicking on names, and it's like, oh yes, this person is credited on games and Nintendo going back to the 90s. Oh yes, this person going to the 2000s. Like everybody who's worked on this game is just like decades of experience making Nintendo games, and it very much shows.
There is I did a strong songs on the original Mario theme, and it's always fun to hear when echoes of that come out, and they do the calypso thing really well still, I think. Like those kinds of grooves. But yeah, there's a lot of very fun music, and I'm sure some references that I don't totally get. There's also a kind of novelty to the world and to the way that it feels to move through it. I mean, the narrative setup of this game is that Bowser turns up and steals a Wonder Seed and transforms into a castle, I think.
Yep.
It's the Wonder Seeds are basically the infinite improbability
So easy to
drive
understand.
from Douglas Adams' universe.
Which, by the way, I mean, props to Nintendo for not having him steal Princess Peach and having him just turn
No,
into
no.
a castle.
Not only that strange setup, like he's sitting there, this Bowser castle in the middle of the map the whole time while you're playing. There is a level that you play through where you don't have to beat a boss to get the whatever it's called, the great seed at the end. It's just like this guy just lives there and he's like, oh, this is just a trial to see if you can achieve enlightenment like I have. So you have to get through the trials and then you'll get you the seed. And at the end I kept expecting Bowser Jr. to turn up and be like, haha, here I am, boss fight time. And then he did it, and the guy was like, good job, you did it, here's the seed. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had that happen in a Mario game before. Like
it's great.
It kind of breaks the formula at times, which for this series that's so known for being formulaic, even while of course it's always experimenting, I think that's kind of remarkable and sort of in line with how it feels to play the game in general. This sense of just like the developers are in on the joke. Like they're willing to just break the game open and just totally turn it into this freak out experience where like, who cares what happens? There's one Wonder Seed level where it just starts raining invincibility stars. And so it's like a star, like basically shooting stars falling from the sky. And you just run through the level and there's like infinite invincibility everywhere. And it's just, you're grabbing it and like killing everything because like whatever. And the whole world is like blowing up around you. It's like, it's the kind of thing that you would see in some weird modded, version of Mario that you can really only watch on YouTube. And instead it's actually happening in the game, and they're doing that over and over again. So they're very willing to like break their own formulas and experiment with their own ideas in such playful ways. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's been like the idea of gimmicky stages and breaking the rules and like being able to subvert expectations. That's been in Mario since the very beginning. I mean, since the original Super Mario Brothers, like you see these, you're in this underground labyrinthian area and you see these roofs and you think, well, okay, it's the roof. I shouldn't be able to get above there. But if you take the time to experiment and jump above the roof, you'll be rewarded with a secret passage, a warp whistle. No, you'll be rewarded with a warp whistle that lets you skip ahead to a new world, which has always been a thing. I have kind of two more questions for you guys. There's 2 more topics I want to bring up. One is there anything you guys don't like in this game? Because I was struggling to think of anything I dislike about it, but curious to hear if there's anything you guys don't like.
Too good.
I struggle.
There's too many games this
Is it
year. I don't
too
have
good?
time for this. This wasn't on my personal to-do list, and now it has to be. Like, I don't know. But Kirk, you were talking. Go ahead.
I struggle a little bit with some of the just physical controls. This is something I was talking about recently, just with thumb
like
pain
with
or
your
whatever.
thumb? Yeah.
It's kind of stretched out more. I'm actually feeling better this week just playing the game. But a lot of the game, I'm sure I could remap some things, but I don't get the sense that it's possible to remap others. For example, swimming requires just constant button tapping, which is sort of hard on my thumb. And also, just because you spend so much of the game running and jumping, I do a kind of lateral thing. I'm sure everyone does this, where you lay your thumb across the inside face button and then jump with the inside of your thumb, because you have to be pressing two face buttons at once, essentially. And I think you can remap some of those. I'm sure I think you can on a system level, but I haven't. I've just been playing it that way. And that's a little bit of a struggle, just because, like, anytime I'm sort of, especially swimming, kind of mashing the button, I have that feeling of like, I wish there was a way to just turn that off and just hold down the button to swim, because like I don't want to be doing this. But that's I guess a minor gripe, but a gripe nonetheless. So
No,
there's
it's
one.
legit.
Yeah.
You can't remap the face buttons very easily. It's kind of a classic Nintendo thing where you can change them
Yeah.
to be A and B, which is the way I prefer it for jump and run fast, or A and X, I guess, for the whatever way.
No one knows, Maddy,
weirdos
actually.
do.
It's not no one knows what the face buttons are
No,
on the Nintendo
Nobody has
controller.
any
It's not a
idea.
known fact.
But,
We
there
don't
are
know.
other buttons besides A and B, but who knows what they are?
It's just like, it's crazy. It's like, just like with Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like, this doesn't have button remapping despite
Yeah,
everything.
it's
You can
so
just
silly.
switch two pairs of buttons or whatever it is.
That's
yeah, it's
it.
very
Yeah.
simple.
And it's worth saying, like, that is reflective, I think, of a broader accessibility failing that Nintendo still has, especially compared to what Sony is doing and what we were just talking about with Spider-Man. Sony is going out of their way to add all this accessibility stuff.
Yep.
And it's just totally absent from this game, like from most Nintendo games. And I think that is a problem. Like, for all of the
agree.
accessibility within the game and the
Yeah,
ways
I was about
that
to
it's so
say.
modular, I wish Nintendo would finally decide to prioritize that, because I have, my thumb hurts and whatever. Like, it's a fairly small thing. I can work around it. But there are all kinds of other things that I think people with more serious disabilities would really struggle with.
Yeah,
And,
like this just locks somebody out if they have a more significant hand pain.
it keeps the game from being enjoyable for as many people as it could be.
It
Yeah,
is too
absolutely.
bad. One more final thought before we take a break and come back. So in 2017, Nintendo's first year of the Switch started off with Zelda in March and ended with Mario in October. Now, 2023, what is likely the last full year of just the Switch before we get to the Switch's successor, we have Zelda in March and Mario in October. Quite a full circle moment.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah.
it's incredible. It's incredible that Nintendo has pulled off this 1-2 punch again and
crazy.
made two like bona fide Game of the Year candidate level, just like incredible games. I just don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not letting
playing
people
this,
go
it's-
every 6 months. Is
Yeah,
that
staff
maybe part of
retention.
it?
I'm sure that helps. It's just there is an amount of creativity happening there and that's being rewarded there that's just so unusual. I mean, this is just how you do it. Playing this game, I just continually find myself thinking, like, my God, how are they on this level? How do other people making video games fall so short, I guess? But that feels critical of ordinary mortals. I mean, but it is that feeling like, why isn't every video game like this? Like, why isn't every video game just like immediately delightful and constantly reinventing itself and so exciting? And of course, we know the answer to that is that it's really, really hard to do that. But playing the game, it feels so effortless that it's easy to just sit there and think, I wish all video games were like this. And Tears of the Kingdom feels the same way, where it's like, oh, right, like you can make a game like this too. So it's incredible. I mean, no one does it like Nintendo does it. They just are still the masters of this. And it's both games are really all four games are evidence of that.
Super Mario Wonder. Why can't all video games be like this? That's a good way to put a pin on this conversation. So why don't we take a break and then come back with one more thing?
People say not to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. Which is why here on Just the Zoo of Us, we judge them by so much more.
We rate animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics, taking into consideration each animal's true strengths, like a pigeon's ability to tell a Monet from a Picasso, or a polar bear's ability to play basketball.
Guest experts like biologists, ecologists, and more join us to share their unique insight into the animal's world.
Listen with friends and family of all ages on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get podcasts.
It's the final week of Co-Optober. I'm Kira Gowan, Ad Operations Specialist, and I'm here with
Daniel Barwella, Technology and Data Specialist. To cap off National Co-op Month, we're sharing how worker-owned co-ops can benefit their communities. Read about it in our newsletter or on social media at MaxFunHQ.
We're also trying to do our part. We're volunteering at our local food bank this week, and we encourage you to volunteer in your area too.
On Friday, we're announcing the donation that you helped raise in the post-Max Fun Drive sticker sale, going to 5 food banks across the U.S.
And we want to make sure you know that this is your last chance to get our limited edition Co-op Launch Crew merch.
Grab a pin, hat, shirt, or hoodie before they disappear at the end of the month.
Details on merch, resources for volunteering, and all things Co-Optober can be found at MaximumFun.org/Co-Optober.
That's COOPTOBER. Thank you so much for your support and have a great Co-Optober.
And we are back. Kirk, Maddy, it is time for one more thing. Maddy, kick us off. What's your one more thing?
My one more thing is a podcast I've been listening to. I'm almost completely done with the archives. And then what shall I do? It's called If Books Could Kill. And it's hosted by 2 guys, one of whom is Michael Hobbs, used to be one of the co-hosts on You're Wrong About, another podcast I've listened to all the archives of and really enjoyed.
Basically the godfather of indie podcasting, I would say.
Yeah, like also kind of the godfather of explaining complex socio-political nuanced issues in a way that makes me rethink everything about my entire life. Michael Hobbs, he's done it again, folks, and his co-host Peter Shamshiri, I don't know him at all. Apparently he co-hosts a show about how the Supreme Court sucks. I'd kind of like to listen to it maybe when I run out of this podcast. So it's called If Books Could Kill. Of course, it's a bad book.
It's very good.
It's called the 5-4 podcast. But forget that. We're talking about If Books Could Kill, the only show I have listened to. And so I heard this title. Don't think I knew Michael Hobbs was hosting it at the time. And I was just like, oh, great. Another thing where they read something terrible or watch something terrible. And they lampoon it. You know, there's a billion podcasts like this. Some of them are excellent, but it's very hard to kind of like, you know, make your way in that arena. So I just kind of moved on. And then eventually I saw something about how it's not just like a books podcast or like a sort of comedy lampooning of bad art podcast. It's specifically about kind of debunking fad books, like pop culture books that were everywhere, like The Secret or like Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 Hours book that I can't remember what it's called, but it may as well be called what I just said because that's how everybody remembers it. And books of that nature where you just hear about them a lot. Yes, of course. And you're like, is that really true? Or is that just something people say at cocktail parties and everybody nods
Turns out
to
the
each
answer
other?
is no.
No. And it's
these.
amazing to hear these. And it's also delightful to hear Michael and Peter just be so exhausted and angry, but in a fun way at whatever 500-page crap they read, where they're like, I just need to read you this paragraph. It makes no sense, or it will make sense. And they'll be like, didn't that sound really smart and good? Well, every fact in it is wrong. And here's why. And there's just something about debunking podcasts that just makes you feel extra double smart, kind of like how all these books are supposed to make you feel. But then you get to listen to a podcast where you get to say, well, actually, at cocktail parties, which I would never do. That's the other thing the co-hosts do a lot, is talk about how at cocktail parties they now refuse to engage with people because they're like, we're insufferable now. We now know why all of these fun facts are wrong and we can't have conversations anymore. But yeah, it's great. It's a great show.
I love this show. I love Peter Shamshiri. I think he's so hilarious.
Funny.
5-4 is a great podcast, but I just think he is hysterical. I hadn't really listened to that show.
He's very funny, and I love his he has a very New York accent that comes out when he's
when he's
mad.
when he's impersonating someone, his Brooklyn accent comes
And it's
out.
his real accent, but it's so funny because just ordinarily he's not speaking with an accent, and then you hear him get more and more frustrated with like Neil Strauss's The Game or whatever, and he starts going full New York, and that's how you know Peter's on one.
Yeah, their episodes on dating advice, like The Game, are really good.
Yep.
They did one on Rich Dad Poor Dad, which
That
is a book that I had
one.
never even heard of.
It's
and
crazy.
there are a lot of times they'll be doing some book from the 80s or that I just don't know like that,
Yeah.
and that's a really really funny one.
You've never heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad? I don't know. It's
No, and I guess it's
I
really
had
famous.
heard of it, but I didn't know
it.
the deal with it. I mean, this is a great
Yeah.
podcast for that too, where you're like, I've heard this book title a lot. What
Yeah,
was
what's
that
the deal with this?
claiming?
It's
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah.
interesting too. I'm caught up on it. I've been listening since the start. I think my sister told me about it, and I Michael Hobbs is great. I'll listen to any podcast that guy makes, and they have a kind of unified theory coming together. You know how on Just King things they're kind of getting a unified theory of Stephen King?
Uh-huh.
It's sort of similar with these guys, only it's like a unified theory of the kind of grifter
Yeah, like
90s,
hack
2000s
books. Yeah.
like books. Yeah, and they're all kind of the same, and they start to reference one another. And also they have a very unified theory of David Brooks that will make it very hard to bite your tongue the next time a relative of yours is like, I read this David Brooks column, and he said, and I just have to be like, nope, I'm not going to remember the episode well enough to get into this effectively, so I'm just going to like nod and move along. But anyways, I co-sign your recommendation. It's a great podcast.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's called If Books Could Kill, and it's a podcast. Check it out.
Kirk, what's your one more thing?
My one more thing is a show that Emily and I watched that I had not even heard of until last week. We started it and then we kind of devoured the whole thing. It's called Deadlock, and it's on Amazon Prime. This is an Australian...
With an H.
yes, with an H. This is an Australian comedy murder mystery
Australian
show.
ambassador Kirk Hamilton.
Yes, it is extremely Australian, and having recently been there and gotten to know many more Australians, I think I have a better appreciation now for the Australianness of this show, which is, I think, a very enjoyable thing about it. I would describe it a little bit like a largely female cast version of Hot Fuzz, but Australian with slightly more serious murder, but just as many jokes. This show is hilariously funny, but also has a pretty high body count. It's pretty bloody. There's a lot of actual murder, and it has a pretty great mystery. We were guessing until the very end about who did it. We had
Love
no
that.
idea who it was. And it's a very complex sort of small town mystery with a million red herrings and possible culprits. It's very, very good. So this show is set in, I think it's a fictional town, but it's in the town of Deadlock in Tasmania, which is a pretty rural area, an island to the south of Australia, kind of south of Sydney and Melbourne. And typically thought of as like a very rural area, but I think it's like being gradually gentrified. And the town of Deadlock, the sort of central cultural conflict there's like the old boys of the town who were kind of, the working class guys. And then there are a bunch of new people from the city. A whole bunch of queer people have come down from Sydney. So it's like got this burgeoning arts, very queer friendly town. A lot of lesbians, as they say over and over and over again. So the main character is Dulcie Collins, who is a cop who with her wife has moved from Sydney to Deadlock, and it's kind of been a sleepy town. And then, of course, there's a murder, and she has to kind of become a murder investigator again. And then she's joined by a detective from up north, from Darwin, up in northern Australia, named Eddie Redcliffe, who's also a woman, but is playing the role of the like dick swinging
Right, yeah.
like detective who's
The
who's, like
old
totally out of control.
guy who's
Yeah.
questioning the newcomer city type.
And I'll say to anyone watching this, when Eddie shows up, at first you'll be like, oh my God, this person is completely out of control. Like, I can't stand her. What is her problem? Like, that's the early dynamic is very much like Dulcie is in control trying to solve this murder, and Eddie is just totally out of control. Mm-hmm. And then they start, of course, to slowly work together, and it's very much like an odd couple cop mystery. And it's so funny. It's written and created by two women who are known as the Kates in Australia, and I gather are kind of well known. Their names are Kate McCartney and Kate McLennan. And I think those are their real names, McCartney and McLennan.
Amazing.
Like Lennon
Perfect.
and McCartney.
Wow.
I
And both
almost
named
can't
Kate.
believe that. So
The
they're
Kate
comedy
mix.
writers, the Kates, and they've made some comedy projects. I think this is their biggest like sort of dramatic murder mystery series. It's so great. There's this really just this disconnect between the way it looks. It's like that really gray color grading. It looks like The Killing, that show. If you ever watched
I've seen that
like,
show.
It looks like it's going to be really serious, but then it's just
then it's
constantly hilarious.
I'm
Like
gonna watch this.
everyone just so vulgar and funny. It's absolutely terrific. I think you would both love it.
Do you need subtitles? Are the accents pretty thick?
Some people have watched it with subtitles. We didn't, and it was fine. There's a lot of slang. You'll kind of pick it up. I think with subtitles, you'd pick up more. And it would probably be easier to keep track of everything because it is a very complex narrative. You get to know everyone in the town and all of their pasts and their relationships. And that's a fun part
Better
of the
for
kind
mystery guessing,
of
after
figuring it
all.
out. Right. There's a really mysterious constellation of people to keep straight. But it's really, really good. I really recommend it. It's very silly. It's very funny. It's sometimes very serious. And we were totally sucked in. So that's called Deadlock. It's on Amazon Prime. Great show.
Sounds good. My one more thing is also a show. It's a show on Netflix called The Fall of the House of Usher. And this has been getting some buzz. It just came out a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sure most people have heard about it in some way or another. But this is a show. It's an 8-episode miniseries created by Mike Flanagan, who also did in the past. He's like a big time horror film TV maker. He did Midnight Mass. He did The Haunting of Hill House. He's adapted some Stephen King stuff. He was born hilariously in Salem, Massachusetts, of all places.
There's only one
and
job
so-
you can get, and it's horror movie and TV director.
Right.
Exactly.
Your
That's all you
future
can
is
do.
written.
Exactly. That's it. You're set in stone. Your life. So this show, it's really interesting. It's basically it's like inspired by all these different Edgar Allan Poe stories and poems, and it's basically like an anthology of Edgar Allan Poe stuff, from The Raven, The Obvious, to like and like The Telltale Heart, to like more obscure stuff. Like The Black Cat or whatever it is. I'm not a Poe expert, so I don't actually know what's obscure and what's not. But it's all Edgar Allan Poe. And the premise is that it's about this billionaire family called the Ushers, who are the magnates of this pharmaceutical company that sells pills that are painkillers that are highly addictive.
It's like the Sacklers
The
mixed with the
Sacklers.
Kardashians.
Yeah.
The
maybe.
Sacklers mixed with the Kardashians is a good way to describe it.
Great.
Also very heavily inspired by Succession.
Yes.
The best way to describe the show is really Succession, but horror, because there's this gothic undertone and supernatural elements and horror elements to it all. Because the premise is that it's kind of set on these on 3 different parallel timelines, and the one that you're first introduced to is kind of let's call it the future, where this FBI agent / investigator is interviewing the patron saint of the Usher family, Roderick, who's
A district
played-
attorney, I think. But
District Attorney, played phenomenally by Bruce Greenwood, and he is telling the interrogator about how all of his children died. And then we go back in time and we see how all that unfolded in kind of the, let's call it the present. And then we also see the past, where we see Roderick as a young boy, kind of first as a kid and then eventually as a young adult, played by Matt Saracen himself, Zach Gilford.
Hell
From
yeah.
Friday Night Lights, and we learn how he wound up in charge of this pharmaceutical company and what he did to get there. And so it's really interesting watching all these tracks, because the bulk of the series, the kind of middle 6 episodes, each of those follows a different kid of his, and we know that they're going to die at the end. And so it's interesting following that track and seeing how they're going to die. But then in the past track, we also have this big overarching mystery of like, how did he wind up in charge of this company? And from the beginning, he kind of alludes to doing this really horrible thing, but we don't find out what that is for a while. I'm not done with it yet. I'm only 6 episodes in out of 8, so I don't actually know
So you're
what
close
happens
to the
there.
end. You're right
Close
in
to
the,
the end.
the climactic,
But not quite
home
there
stretch.
yet. And so you watch all these things, all these stories are told in parallel in really interesting and compelling ways. And then there is the big X factor, and that is a mysterious woman played by Carla Gugino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who is a phenomenal actor, and she appears. I won't say what her deal is or how she appears or anything like that, but she appears throughout. She haunts this show and appears quite a few times in quite a few different situations, and I'll just leave it at that. But she is connected to Roderick Usher and clearly has an impact on his fate in one way or another. So yeah, I mean, Succession but horror, I think is the best way to describe it. And like, if you're not sold sold by that, you might not care about the show. But if you are, and you want to see a phenomenal piece of work that is just like incredibly well acted and well written and well performed, there's this amazing monologue that Roderick Usher gives about lemons and if life gives you lemons, that is worth watching. Even if you're not interested in the show, Google that, because it's really truly an incredible thing. And yeah, I mean, this show, I don't think it's going to win any awards or anything. It's not like super subtle storytelling. It's very in your face and blunt about a lot of its themes, especially it's kind of like anti-capitalist, anti-Sackler, anti-climate change,
the rich?
whatever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Themes. And it's a lot more blunt in its ways than even something like Succession, but it's still just very compelling and entertaining and well done. And the acting, I think, really brings it to a new level. Just like the performances, especially by Bruce Greenwood, the Roderick Usher, and Carla Gugino. But really everybody is just great. And then one more thing real quick, just to introduce you to the six children of Roderick Usher, because they're all such like they're all kind
by
of
different mothers, right? So they're all very different looking,
Well,
very different
not
types
all.
of
The
people.
first two
Okay.
are the same mother.
Yes,
The rest are different mothers. But yeah, there's 6 of them. They're all kind of, if we're playing on Succession, they're all kind of Roman.
That's so
They're
They're
all
just different
just
types of Roman.
Different types of Roman.
So we all have different peccadillos. Great.
Okay, just to go through them real quick. One is the youngest of them all is this kind of 20-something Lothario, like hedonistic drug sex addict. One is a professional gamer. One is a PR flack who has no soul and just exists to spin things and has this great silver hair.
Yes.
One is a black lesbian scientist who has her own kind of
but
inner
also
demons.
I'm sure a wonderful person.
A wonderful person. The fifth is this lady who wants to be the next Gwyneth Paltrow and is building a health brand and can only get off by watching her husband recreate with sex workers like scenes of like family dinners and like other wholesome, happy household acts.
Holy shit.
I
haven't gotten to that yet. That's crazy.
And the sixth child is kind of actually the Kendall of the family. He's the fail son.
He's very Kendall-y.
Total
Fail
fail son.
Yeah.
He's the eldest boy.
He's the eldest boy, but gets a little bit more Roman-y as time goes on for reasons that I won't spoil, and has his own twisted depravity and dissent and stuff. Anyway, just a phenomenal show. I've really, really enjoyed it so far. Once again, it's called The Fall of the House of Usher. A little bit of a clunker title, but fantastic show.
Yeah, named after the Poe story of the same
exactly.
name, so they were kind of stuck with that one, I guess.
Everything. Oh man, I haven't even mentioned there's a friggin' lawyer played by Mark Hamill who just is like,
of course, yes, I've seen Mark Hamill
full
in
on.
the promo
oh my
shots.
god, he is
just
incredible.
hamming it up.
Well, he's like he's channeling his inner like Joker from Arkham, like going full. Except he's you really see the range of his acting in a way.
When he's like frighteningly quiet, at least in the first episode, which I've only seen, which is very fun. You're waiting for him to unleash it because you know he can.
No. I should say Joker. It's just the voice of the Joker, like the Joker voice.
But like when he's being
more than anything,
scary,
just like
quiet.
that. Yeah, that kind of the intonations. He's not at all like the Joker as a character. He's very quiet. He stays
final
quiet.
2 episodes, he
maybe
becomes
that's
the
true.
Joker?
Unless he becomes that's how it ends. Yeah,
he's Pym, right? The Pym Reaper they call him.
Arthur
His last
Pym.
name is
Arthur Pym. Another Poe reference to like some novel he wrote. Everything, literally everything you see in the show is just a Poe reference, Edgar Allan Poe reference. So if you're like an Edgar Allan Poe fan, you will love this thing. All right, that is it for this week's episode. We will be back. Well, if you're a Max Fun member, you will get a bonus episode early next week, and then we will be back for another standard episode, as always, next Thursday. See you both next week.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@MaximumFun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Maximum Fun.
A worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.